Legion is a horizontal shooter from the hit-or-miss developer Telenet. Despite being only released in Japan, Legion surprisingly only uses English language in text and spoken dialogue. Typically, English in Japan is limited to the basic concepts of the HUD, most notably score. This is where the first of many odd differences between Legion and other shooters begins. It has no score. Yep, no score, no way to track your progress or tell how well you are playing, and no way to compare with friends. And that also means no way to earn extra lives. The basic layout and speed reminds me of Darius, but the areas you are flying through have slightly larger height than the screen's resolution. That means that you strafe up and down across the screen, and it does this odd vertical scrolling thing that makes you feel unsure of your exact location in the level. Then the enemies start. They come in groups and have a screen sweeping motion with much faster movements than your ship is capable of, thus making outmaneuvering them impossible. Not only that, but it becomes quickly clear that all enemies in Legion prefer the kamikaze method of assault. Unlike most shooters, your enemies don't follow much of a pattern and fly straight at you within seconds of appearing on screen. Your guns, even with the turbo built into the PC Engine's gamepad, can't keep up with the average cluster of enemies, so even trying to shoot all of them down is futile. In short, the first few attempts at this game will end in countless failures before eventually seeing the game over screen. If you are a true shooter fan, you know this is only the beginning of the journey. The first few hours is all about memorizing the patterns, learning the enemy spawns, and exploring the upgrade path of the ship. In Legion, there isn't much to speak of as far as weapons outside of the ability to switch between the three via collected icons. In order to get a weapon or upgrade, you simply shoot down the two ships escorting the collectible and then touch it. Whatever letter is on the collectible decides the type of upgrade you get. C stands for weapon, while P is a weapon power-up, M is missiles, B is barrier, and O is bomb. I know, the letters can get confusing because they don't make much sense. The same is true for the cycling weapons, where green goes back to the standard shot, blue goes to homing missiles, and red goes to spread. The key here is, like all other shooters, collect your favorite weapon, power it up, collect missiles, collect a barrier, and go to town without dying. You can power up weapons and missiles up to 5 times, but with each death, all power-ups go away. This task is daunting when you consider that all enemies are running straight at you. Given all the factors involved in Legion, it should be clear at this point that the game has a high difficulty. Newcomers to the shooter genre, or those that aren't fans, will likely be done with this game inside of an hour, while others like myself take this title as a challenge. Despite there being a lack of score, this can actually be liberating, as there's no penalty for avoiding enemy ships altogether. I feel certain that strong players in this title do just that. Your second goal is memorizing the levels, and then finally you can focus on the handful of bosses in the game. I'm not going to lie, the bosses leave much to be desired when compared to the difficulty of the levels. Most of them are either boring or have an awkward gimmick to dealing damage, or both. It's a disappointing cherry on top of a tough-to-appreciate sundae. There are some interesting concepts here, but they are shadowed by the cut corners and seemingly lazy programming. I don't think it's good design to have all the game's ships going kamikaze from the start with little consequence. I also don't like that your ship is already at a disadvantage in how fast it moves and how effectively it fires its cannons when trying to dispatch of enemies. Even the title screen asks you to push the start button, whereas almost every other PC Engine game acknowledges that the system has a run button instead. It's not like Legion was ported anywhere else, it's just probably laziness. Shooters don't need any help being disliked, so when titles like this seem like they are trying to be more difficult than fun, it strikes fans as a misstep. It didn't surprise me to find that the game was mostly hated in the shooter community, and of course the lack of score was a chief complaint. From a graphical standpoint, I have to commend the use of color, and the parallax is in full effect with great results. The soundtrack, on the other hand, is somewhat lacking outside of the voiceover. Even after playing dozens of games so far for ChronCD, it still baffles me that developers are not utilizing the CD platform for the one thing it's tailor-made for: music. If you're going to make a CD-based game, especially one like Legion that could have easily made it to the PC Engine console proper, at least offer a soundtrack that can't be found elsewhere. It justifies the CD platform and may even help people forget how miserable they are dying on a consistent basis. While you may not have heard of Legion, and you may be a fan of shooters, serious hardcore players and those that wish to play and collect absolutely everything are really the only people that need to pick this one up.